Hello and welcome to this review, theories, and I guess the question, what the heck is that in the short film from the Oat Studio called Rakka? So this was directed by Neil Blomkamp, and it's an amazing short film. Talented team there at the Oat Studio by the look of it. For the most part, this movie had phenomenal CG, very reminiscent of District 9, so check out the link below if you have yet to see it. And I will go into spoilers from now on as well, so once again, if you've not seen it, go and watch it, then come back when you are ready. So my theory, or let's just say my question about this movie. As I'm sure many others had, it's around a strange being that we're introduced to in a particular scene. But I want to break it down a bit more. So I really like how this short film is edited. It almost gives you an entire overview of the situation in the world, but there's a few specific stories that are in there that are detailed out, but in my opinion they're just given in a bit of a jumbled order. So I think the main one, the one that I like, that leaves that big question mark at the end. So I'm sure most people pick this one up as well. So I'm just going to detail out for clarity. I guess it also helps try and guess and answer the question at the end. So timeline of events. This is how I interpret it. So the initial invasion explanation obviously is where all things kick off. But the first real character I think that we would be introduced to in a kind of logical timeline in my head would be the character Nosh. So we see him building the headpieces, we see him scavenging, building explosive devices. Then along comes Sigourney Weaver. So she plays the character Jasper. So we see her bargaining, buying headpieces from Nosh, and Nosh kind of asking as well, give me some human bait, I want to test my explosive. And at that point, I think Jasper is in the camp of no way. But then we see the next scene would be an assault. So we see the Resistance take down a small alien craft, possibly with the help or assistance of Amir and his abilities. Not 100% sure how he's going to fit in to this scenario, but I think he was probably involved with that one. So then they chase down the alien and we see them kill it. This is also, I think, a reference to one of the small victories that the narrator is telling us about. So a point to note here as well, whilst it was a small victory, they lost 2 soldiers. So that's the reason why she said, behead it, because they're upset. They don't have many soldiers at this point, so losing 2 soldiers is probably a big deal for them. And this possibly could be one of the final steps into handing over the civilians to Nosh. So then I think the next scene, the logical scene after the beheading, would be Nosh using his explosives. And perhaps they did hand over the human bait, as once again the last resort from losing more people. Just a little point to note here as well around Nosh's weapon or his bomb. You can see in the latter scenes he was making it, but he actually used it in the first few scenes, which was one of the main keys which I picked up on as to how things are a little bit jumbled. Once again, you see the pictures here, so you see him making it, and you see him using it, but in the actual short, it was the other way around. That is once again another small victory. So I think with those 2 small victories, the aliens respond. So we see them target the vehicles that they're probably identified by the other craft in the air the day that the alien was beheaded. So we see that the vehicles were destroyed. Now my logic here is to why I didn't think the vehicles were destroyed immediately after the beheading, because one of the vehicles, the one that rolled, was missing a mounted machine gun. Now, it didn't seem to be bolted, it just seemed to be sitting on a tripod, which could have easily been removed, but to me, the suggestion there is it's at least a few hours or if not a day after the beheading. So anyway, we see the car roll. The soldier gets out, which is when we get that weird scenario, or the weird new species, which is the real question here. So the narrator says to us, until they arrived, like angels carried on rays of the aurora borealis, like a biblical salvation, which is all really cool. So what are your thoughts on what she says in that scene? I have 2 thoughts with it. So my first one would be the religious angle. As the narrator says, she says angels and she says biblical salvation. So are we looking here at a spiritual assistance helping the humans? That's a possibility. But my preferred option, which would be option 2, it's just a different alien species coming down to assist us. And my logic behind this would be how they look. They look very alien. How I didn't see many other religious references throughout this whole thing. Actually, I don't know if I saw any. And also, once again, what the narrator says, she does mention angels and she does mention biblical salvation, but she says like angels and like a biblical salvation, which to me is suggesting there it's not either of the two, but that is the feeling or the reference to how it is described as opposed to how it actually is. I think it's fantastic because it really leaves it up to your interpretation. I really like these kind of little scenarios here that you can really take it as you please. So I hope this story by the Oat Studio and Neil Blomkamp gets developed more. It would be a shame to see them waste it and leave these characters here in this amazing scenario and the amazing alien designs. I really want them to give it more time, so hopefully we'll see a part 2 or maybe a remake a bit longer. Here's hoping anyway. But anyway, I'll leave this video here. I hope you enjoyed this little theory kind of breakdown. As always, leave your thoughts and feedback below. Thumbs up if you like this little video and subscribe for future content from me. So until next time, this is Mish and I'll see you later.